G'day guys and welcome to BST Weekly. We're back. Joey, we are back.
We are, and you should be using the microphone at our professional studio
Yes,
to kick us off.
as you probably can see, Beasters, we've got a new little microphone there, just something we've done to try and enhance your viewing for this show. And just before we get into it today...
Well,
I
I don't know if we're on the same
too.
wavelength here, but I think we've got a little surprise. If you stay with us until the end of the show,
Okay.
we may have a little surprise to do with BST and where we're going to go going forward.
Yes, well that's not where I was going. So there's Joey's surprise. My one, guys, is if you're wondering why there's been such a long time between shows, we put up a little clip. I think it goes for 2.5 minutes, and it just fills everyone in beautifully on what we got up to in the our off season, I suppose you could say. But watch that. We think it's a good laugh, especially where we take the mickey out of one person. But we'll let you find that out for yourselves. But look, why don't we get into it, Joey?
Let's do it. It's been a while.
Well, it's been too long. What we're going to do, we think, is just basically run through the ladder. Obviously, being away for a while, I mean, it's a bit pointless to, start from scratch and that sort of thing. So we'll start with the ladder. We'll work from the bottom up, and we'll just say a little bit about each team, who their better players have been, who's letting them down, and just a general discussion. So, look, why don't we start with the GWS Giants?
Yep.
Of course, in 18th position, they're 0-7. Look, I don't know. Is this really what everyone expected? I'm not really sure.
It's what I certainly expected. The only thing we can compare them to is the Suns in their second year. Yeah. And the Suns in their second year, they were more competitive than the Giants, I must say, in the first half of the season. But it took them to around, I think, 13 or 14 to notch up their first win against, and it was after the siren against Richmond. So for the Giants to be winless at this point doesn't surprise me at all. They've got a long, long way to go. And for mine, and I think really importantly, we talk about their key forwards being the future, which undoubtedly Jeremy Cameron and Jonathan Patton have shown a lot.
Yeah.
Some of their mids have shown a bit. Some can't get on the park. Tyson can't get on the park, but Canelio, Shield, obviously, future A-graders, you'd imagine. Tyson potentially, but we wait and see on him. But for mine, their worry is the back line. For me, I can't see the key pillars of the future being there for them, and it's a bit of a worry for mine.
Yeah, well, I agree with all of that, really. As you mentioned before, Canelio, he looks like he's been in the weights room all off-season. He's a big boy now for his size, and he's going to develop into a really good player. But I'm glad you brought up the front two there, Cameron and Patton. They're going to be a Batman and Robin type sort of combination, dynamic duo. But look, we wait and see with Patton, don't we? Because his knees given out again. But Jeremy Cameron, as everyone knew last year, he is a really, really impressive player. And look, he'll develop and bloom into one of the better forwards in the league in give it 3-4 years. But it is their back line, as you said, that is the worry. Phil Davis, look, he's not bad. He's a good defender, but he reminds me of a not in the same sort of player, but the situation, a Brett Thornton at Carlton back in 2002 sort of time when he was there really only. He was only there only. It's been too long.
Bit of a tongue twister.
He was their only defender back then, and he got caught out, and he got reams of goals kicked on him week in, week out. And I think,
just quickly speaking, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but what do you make of Thornton being there himself?
I think it's only a short-term thing, sort of like the Luke Power and stuff. I don't see any harm in it though. I see no reason why he couldn't come in and play sort of a third tall defender. So hopefully, I know that he's played a few games, but hopefully he continues to do so, because I think it's good for them more than anything. Yep. But look, Tim Moore's the same as well. It's going to take a while, but they're not up to the level where they can effectively cover each other and peel off and all that sort of thing. So full judgment will be made probably next year on how their defence is.
They just have to stop as well getting blown out by such margins. I mean, 187 to 52 on the weekend against the Crows? That's can't happen. I mean, 100-point losses, no matter which club you are, they are soul destroying, and they've got to be more competitive. Even if they can win a few quarters, or they work on somehow stopping that margin, because 100 points, that's what's 130 points? That's 40 points a quarter that they're losing by.
It's too much, yeah.
6-7 goals a quarter.
I was surprised as well because it was up in Blacktown, which is even more concerning. Adelaide got a few injuries as well, so just dread to think what the score might have been had Big Tex Walker been playing. But look, that's for another day. But yeah, look, I think they would have hoped to see a few more positive signs. I mean, they were great against Essendon, but on the whole, there's still too longer periods in games where they're just dropping away.
No, couldn't agree more. They need to improve, and hopefully for the competition's sake, they will.
Yep, exactly.
Sorry to cut, and this is just off the cuff here. Yeah. Kevin Sheedy's comments, and you can call this Joey's arrow, or I'm going to drop the A-bomb here, I reckon we'll call it. I tell you what, Kevin Sheedy's done more for breaking down racial stereotypes in this country than probably anyone in the sporting landscape. And if any one of you out there can tell me what he said was racist, I will give you everything I own, because he didn't belittle any race or anything like that. He didn't make fun of or belittle any race like that. All he said, the immigration, it was a sloppy choice of words, admittedly, but it wasn't racist. And sometimes you choose to be angry. Sometimes you choose to be offended by things. It's a choice. And I tell you what, some of these nuffies on Twitter who are saying, I'm cancelling my GWS Giants membership now because of what he said, is an absolute joke, and you should have a good hard look at yourselves. Stop being so stupid, and stop being such a parity vocal minority who really unnecessary for mine. Disgraceful. Pull your heads in. I
like it. I'm just opening up the floor of the plane now, and we're just pushing the A-bomb out of it, and down she goes. So, no, that's good. I couldn't agree more there. You've said exactly the right thing. We'll move on to 17th now. Melbourne. Yep. Melbourne Footy Club, 1-6. The one win came against GWS. But once again, on the weekend, they suffered a really, really bad defeat at home to Suns.
Look, I'm going to roll here, but I'm going to have another big go. I'm going to give them a whack because they deserve it. I'm going to read you some stats here. 230 kicks to 100. Look, let's just go possessions in general. 410 to 309. That's almost 25% more possessions. And their tackle count, 39 to 71. That's less than 50%. Now, that is just so much of a worry. That is so alarming. And there is... I don't really need to read out any more stats than that. It tells you it all. They are a basket case at the minute, and it's about when, not if, for Mark and Yield for mine.
Yeah.
And they're not playing for the coach. They're not playing for the team. It's such an individual performance by almost all their players. I'm going to give some credit to Max Gawn, Colin Garland, Jones as well, probably, and the two captains who weren't playing on the weekend. But where do you start? I'm lost for words.
Well, they went down the wrong path for mine. It all started in pre-season. Why? They've brought in Roden. Shannon Burns is playing all right, but I don't see any need for him to be on the list. And Big Pedersen's all right as well, but
can't get a game.
Yeah, he's not even playing, which is ridiculous. And Dawsey's probably the best out of the bunch, and he came in and played his first game on the weekend, but. Yeah, I just didn't like the recruitment strategy from the start, and it's just Jack Viney's not a pick 3. I think you can see that by Ollie Wines obviously going at pick 7. So yep, they got that one wrong as well. Sometimes you just got to make a hard call for mine.
He has a crack, but doesn't mean you're an elite footballer, does it?
No, well, Josh Thurgood had a crack for the Hawks back in.
Well,
he did.
Joshy Thurgood.
He did, but he got pushed off it. But he had a crack. But in all seriousness, there's really not. The media have slugged him enough. We could go on, sorry, but we're not going to waste your time. You've all heard it. Melbourne are a disgrace at the minute. I think everyone knows that.
So stick away from Fitzroy.
Well, they were compared to Fitzroy by some media people this week. And that was the quote he used, actually.
It was.
A bee's whisker, I think he used instead of...
Could have been shorter.
Yes,
I think.
yes. So it's not great coming from someone who's gone down there to help out. But anyway, we'll move to 16th to the Bullies, 1 and 6 also. In a totally different field though for mine to Melbourne. I mean, at least they're competitive for mine. No one expected big things of them this year, and I mean, I know Geelong missed a lot of shots the other week, but they only got beaten by Geelong by 20 to 30 points or something like that.
Yep.
Which is, pretty good. The Kangaroos game got away from them on the weekend. But
well, that was the last quarter, wasn't it? North kicked 9 goals in the last quarter, so they were competitive up to 3/4 time.
But, and that's all the Bulldogs fans would want. And, I mean, we said it in pre-season that we thought the Dogs would struggle, and we got ridiculed, which is ridiculous. But the Bulldogs will not win more than 4 games for mine.
Yeah, I got them at 4 or 5 as well.
Yeah.
If that'd be very lucky. I wonder where they'd be, and if they'd be the same as, or in the same conversation as Melbourne, if they had lost that first game of the year against a Brisbane Lions side who was woeful that day. I think they got really lucky that they won that, and they've escaped a lot of criticism along the way. But as you said, they are competitive. They win the contested ball. I think a top 5, maybe even higher than that in the AFL for contested possessions. So
there's enough good signs there to at least go forward.
And at least Liam Jones is finally showing something, glimpses anyway. So there is a few shining lights there with their kids. Johannison is another one who I like, and the continual improvement by Dalehouse and guys like that.
No, definitely. I mean, so it seems doom and gloom down there, but really it's not that bad for mine. I mean, you can't really expect much more. We go to the Lions, who are in 15th, 2 and 5. Well, you said about their round 1 performance, they have been very ordinary for mine. I know they gave West Coast a good shake, but that's probably the first game this year, apart from the 2 they've won, obviously, that, I'd probably even go as far to say they played better in that West Coast game than they did in the games they won.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. They were competitive against West Coast, but they've been deplorable. Their 1 win against Gold Coast 2 was pretty lucky. I think Gold Coast had a bit of an off day that day, so and
they played Melbourne in the other game, obviously.
Yeah, which was a gimme. So look, I don't know. I'm not sure. I the next 6 I think games they play against the top 6 or 8 sides. It's a very tough run, all the way until round 14. I think it is. So I think they're going to be bottom 3 by then, probably maybe even bottom 2. But judging by the end of the year, I guess Voss is in trouble. I think clubs need stability. I don't think you can just go axing the coach if there's no one better to replace him. I think they've got more talent there than the teams below them, and I think they're probably realistically a 10 to 12 side on the ladder, all things being equal. I think they'll need to rebuild again before they challenge for top 4, but I think they'll be stuck in that type of mediocrity stage for a good few years yet.
And I can't disagree with that either. I mean, we just... I know Brownie's coming to the end and stuff like that, but, we just need to see a bit more, don't we? Really, from a lot of their younger guys and stuff. And, I mean, they won the NAB Cup, and I know we've both referred to it as the Fairy Floss Cup, Mickey Mouse League, whatever you want to call it. But the letdown from their performances in that have been catastrophic.
Yeah, well, we all thought they'd make top 8 for sure after they won the NAB Cup. And that was based on last year's performance as well, where they won 10 games last year. So, what do you think has changed and has caused this sudden drop off? Is it a confidence thing, or?
To be honest, I just think other sides have got better.
Yep.
I think it's as simple as that. I think they're sort of at the same level as last year, and a number of other sides have gone ahead of them.
Yep.
And it's as simple as that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, special shout out to Mitch Golby as well, who played very well against the Eagles. I watched that game. And he was fantastic.
I hear he's not a bad FIFA player.
Yeah, I heard he's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Might have to challenge him sometime. But we'll move on to 14th spot now to the Saints, and they're 2-5. And well, it's been a strange one for the Saints. I mean, they've been the games this year. They're sort of just plugging away, and you've never really thought they were going to win games. Sorry, they're just hanging around, and then on the weekends they've come out and beat Carlton.
Well, they always match up really, really well against Carlton. It's just one of those anomalies in footy, isn't it? There's some teams just, I think you mentioned a bit earlier, just match up really well against each other. But and I've given the teams so far a bit of a whack. I'm going to give these guys a massive pump up, because even though they've lost games, they've really, really remained competitive in them, and they've really tested other teams, and they made them work for their victories. I mean, they lost to the Gold Coast, which is probably the worst loss from them so far. But I mean, you know, it's not like they lost. The Gold Coast played very well that game, and they challenged Sydney over there on Anzac Day. And Nick Riewoldt, everyone's talking about him, and so they should be, trying his guts out. He's probably playing better than he ever has.
He's kicking very well as well, which was a big problem there for him for a little while. And look, it's great to see, because he has been a sensational player. The last 2 years, I think he sort of dropped off a bit. He's had injuries and that sort of thing. But no, look, it's great to see him back. He's really just showing he still is one of the main heartbeats of that club.
And it's good. It's a proud thing, and you'd be proud to be a St Kilda supporter when you see that, because that's all you ever ask of your footy club, isn't it? Have a crack, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah.
So good on him, but it is a long way back.
A long way back, yeah. But I mean, they're blooding some youngsters now, and they they look okay.
Yep.
That's all you can say.
I actually like Robertson as well. One who escapes media attention.
He's been great, yeah. No, he's been great coming over from Freo, no doubt about that. And he looks like he's got a second win sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because he was stagnating there at Fremantle a bit, but he's come home and everything's right.
Which is good to see.
Exactly. We'll move on to 13th now. The Suns, who are 3-4. Massive chance to square their season this week against the Bulldogs as well. But look, they've been really good. They bashed up on a poor Melbourne side, as we've said. They're unlucky not to be 4-3 at this stage, having lost minorly to the Lions in the Q Cup. And I mean, they've knocked off the Saints as well. So I mean, there's plenty of positives there in this year.
Probably the out of those sides we've mentioned so far, these guys are the ones with, along with GWS, the most potential going forward. They're really starting to hit their straps, and I think we all know how good their midfield is with name them O'Meara, Bennell, Prestia is playing in defence, but you got Swallow as well, and obviously Gary Ablett, Carmichael Hunt protecting them. But it's their bigs that have really propelled them forward this season as opposed to last year. I think Charlie Dixon, we all know, has come on, but Rory Thompson as a centre half back, when Gold Coast beat the Saints in round 1, he has been the only defender to hold Nick Riewoldt this whole season, and I think that holds some clout. I think there was an article on the AFL website during the week where saying that Rory Thompson will be an All-Australian defender in his career, and I agree. Sam Day down back has been a revelation. Couldn't get it going as a forward, and now he's really, really excelling down in the back line as well. And Stephen May's been okay, but look, Tommy Lynch, another big forward who works well, but the one I want to get to, Zach Smith, career best form so far. He had a really good first season, but dropped off last year. Had a poor start to the year. Went to the coach. He was going to be dropped. Went to the coaching staff and asked to be, given one more chance, and he's taken it with both hands. But yeah, look, I can talk about the Suns all day because they have so much potential. But what are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, with any new club that comes in, you want to see growth each year, I suppose. And the Suns are probably the perfect example of that. I mean, each year, aspects of their game are getting better. As you said, this year it's the key position players that are coming on, which is expected after that, that 3 to 5 years that it takes them to come right to play at a higher level. That's not funny, Gary. That's not funny.
Marginally humorous.
That's not funny. But no.
Fair effort, 3 to 5 years.
It is, yeah. let's go on. But no, I mean, Ablett's still a star, and he lifts everyone around him as well. So it's it's fantastic for them.
It is. And let's move on to the next team, I think. The Kangaroos, who...
3 and 4.
Yeah. Disappointing start, I think, but they've played a few tough teams.
Yeah, I mean, they're a tough one to gauge, the Kangaroos. I mean, they're always in games, yet they really fail to close them out. I mean, they should have probably beaten Collingwood. Definitely should have beaten Geelong. No doubt about that. They're the two that stick out in my mind. Against Sydney down in Tassie, they were in it for a long time and Sydney kicked away. I don't know what it is. They say that you get better at situations by being a part of them, but that over and over we see the Kangaroos consistently struggling to close games.
I know we talk about this off camera. I'm probably far more brash than you here, but they're a dumb football side for mine. And in the clutch moments, they haven't got the personnel with enough football IQ, we'll call it, to close out games like Geelong's a bad example because they're so good, but like another top side would do. It just seems to be too many times when the whips are cracking, and I've said this before, when the whips are cracking, the North players, they just go missing. And it's a cultural thing, it's a mentality thing. It's something that takes a long time to break out of, if it ever happens at all. And I fear for the club going forward because with this crop of players, I just don't see the guys who are going to stand up and win the games when it counts for them.
Well, when you look at a club, you want to see A graders, your B plus, your Bs, and then your few Cs. Okay, but for mine, the Kangaroos have got maybe one A grader, and that sort of alternates each week. There's never really a consistent A grader. Everyone's here in this B grade, and it's great when everyone's playing together. Yep. They're a really good side, but as soon as a few start to drop off, that's when the whole side drop off. So, they're either great or they're poor. And if they're poor, there's never a way really back into it for mine.
Oh, that's a great analogy. It's a really good way to look at it, I think. And you couldn't name... who's the best player for you? Swallow, maybe?
Swallow, yeah, but he's struggled a bit in certain games this year. Yeah, he hasn't been great every game. And
you couldn't say that he was in the top 5 or 10 players in the league, would you? So, I mean, not that every team needs one, but it's you need at least one or two guys who can, you really depend on, and they just don't have that. Yeah,
I mean, Big Drewy tries his heart out. He kicks them a few goals every week. But, I mean, the same thing. You can't be just, sole reliant on Big Drew because of how well some teams are able to defend and cover when the Roos are going forward. So, I mean, a classic example of that's Geelong. I know he still kick goals and stuff like that, but, they're a side as good as anyone that's going to minimise the chances, if you like.
Yep. Couldn't agree more with that.
Yep, nice. Well, thank you. We'll go to 11th now, where it's the Blues. They're 3 and 4 also. Pretty unlucky against the Saints. I mean, I know you said they matched up well, but they were cursed with injuries in that game and, I mean, had pretty much no rotation, so it really wasn't any surprise that they dropped that one. But
fault of their own or unlucky?
Oh, well, I've heard Yaron went in with an issue. No. You don't do it. And it really surprises me because I know for a fact Mick Moldhouse doesn't do that. So that's really, really weird that one was allowed to slip through. And I mean, they paid for it. I mean, you don't flirt with soft tissue injuries for mine. That's just mine.
No, I'm with you.
I know no one's ever 100%, but Yaron must have been at least 50.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were just planning on sitting him in the forward pocket or something. But look, I mean, they started the year Norton 3. They had a massive win against West Coast, which really, if they lost that, they would have been Norton 4. And, alarm bells would have been ringing them. But they won their last 3 before the St Kilda game. And, I mean, they're there. They'll make finals. They're a good side. Mick still hasn't got his, game plan fully etched into them yet either. So, for mine, there's no issue there at all.
And I don't know if he hasn't worked out their depth yet, or they just don't have any. Because as we were talking about before, if you're going to carry Yarn into a game, to me that signifies that they haven't really got anyone to replace him, and it's a depth issue. So I don't know if they don't have the cattle there yet, or he hasn't worked out, who he can trust or not.
Well, I'm not convinced with their depth. I think their 22 is great. Don't get me wrong, can beat anyone on any day. But yeah, their depth, it is a big issue for me.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's what will hold them back from making the next step from being a 6th to 10th side to a 1 to 5 side for mine.
Yeah, but no, we'll watch that one with interest, definitely. In 10th there, you've got the Eagles, who are 3 and 4 also. For mine, we don't have to spend any time on the West Coast Eagles. Start of the year, they had a lot of injuries.
The most important one being Nick Nat.
Yeah, exactly. Frenchman is really important too. But, I mean, they're all filtering back in now. West Coast is starting to win games now, and they will continue to win games and will make top 4.
Oh, I've got them as top 2. I really think they will hardly lose a game from here on out. And
well, they won't lose in Perth.
No, not at all. So, nothing to worry about, Eagles fans. You'll be challenging off in a preliminary final without a shadow of a doubt.
Yep, exactly. We'll skip straight to the Crows, who are the last team at 3 and 4. Had a massive win against the Giants, which we won't pay too much attention to. But for mine, look, we tipped a slide pre-season, and now
ridiculed for it as well.
Yeah, again. When's people going to listen? And then Taylor Walker has gone down, as everyone knows. Most important player for mine. Won't make the 8 for me.
I think the famous call was he'd kick 50, and you were savaged in saying that's no bloody big accomplishment.
Oh, well.
But it is. 50 goals is 50 goals. But you got that one wrong, but that's not your own doing. Unfortunately, he's gone down, as you said. And look, the lack of effort from some of the guys like Bernie Vince and others, I can't think of the top of my head the lack of effort in particular. But Bernie Vince is the one that sticks out for me. That signifies a team who's not really keen on... Oh, sorry, I'm boring you too.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that signifies a team that's not going to make finals for mine. And
well, it's just a drop-off. Scotty Thompson isn't playing as well as he has other years. I mean, he's getting older too, so he can't be expected. So other guys have to step up. I mean, Sloane's been great. Dangerfield is Dangerfield, so he'll be good. Bernie Vince has had one good year for mine. I'm going to hit him hard here. He's had one good year, and he's been mediocre since.
Yep,
I mean,
that's fair.
Yeah, hooray. He came out and played fantastic against the Giants, and his team won by 130 points. Well, that's fantastic, Bernie, but play well, first name basis, play well in a big game for mine.
And sorry to all the Bernies out there, because I'm going to be... I have a big crack here, but you wouldn't, would you? Is it Bernard, or is he shortened it to Bernie, or...?
I would say Bernard.
Because you couldn't, on the birth certificate, put down Bernie, could
Bernie,
you? You
no.
couldn't.
It's like Barney.
Wow. Awful.
Yeah. So, but look, we'll move on from that. Look, but seriously, the Crows, their forward line's really interesting now. Lynch, is that the guy they got?
Tom Lynch, yeah.
Yeah. Look, a bit off topic. Ultimate footy-wise, he scored 222. I'm not sure if you saw that or not.
Well, yeah, kicked 10, so...
Did he really?
Yeah.
I did not even know that. So
Yeah.
there you go. That's how little interest I paid in that game last week. Wow. Okay, but look, he's not going to do that every week for mine. Yeah, he's playing. Well, he's playing some good footy.
No, I mean, once in a lifetime thing, kicking 10
Yeah,
for
yeah.
this hack. I'm not. I was going to put it out there. Tom Lynch isn't going to be a 10-year player in the AFL. He's holding the fort for when Taylor Walker comes back, and then all the best, Tommy. But yeah, sorry, to interrupt.
That's a line that's very similar to the one in the 2.5 minute clip.
All the best.
That hopefully the fans out there have watched. But anyway, we move on. Look, the Crows to miss for mine.
Yep.
Magpies in 8th there. They're 4 and 3. It's an interesting position for the Maggies. They haven't been here for a little while.
I actually hadn't looked at the... Sorry, I feel like I'm cutting you off a few times. I don't mean that.
It's okay.
I didn't realise they were in 8th spot. That is a serious concern.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got the Cats this week.
Yeah.
So easily could be 4 and 4. Then they've got the Swans in Melbourne. And then after that comes a period of 7 games against sides outside the top 8 as we currently talk. So these next 2 weeks for Collingwood are huge. They're massive. Absolutely huge. I mean, if they can win these next 2, as I said, for mine, they won't have much trouble winning the 7 after that.
Yep.
I mean, they'll get challenged, but I think they should win the 7 after that. So, I mean, they're missing a few guys. No excuse, though. They've got enough good players out there to get the job done. They're just, their fade-outs are alarmingly big and bigger than any other year that we've seen as well. Yep. What do you think?
No, that's it for mine as well. The fade-outs, they seem to... In games that they're behind in, which is fine, you're either behind or not, it's a toss of the coin. When they come back, and they have challenged against Essendon and Hawthorn, but most importantly against Freo, they had a massive comeback there in the third quarter. And the problem is, once they hit the front or they get close to hitting the lead, it's almost like the lights turn off, and I can't explain that. I can't put my finger on what that is.
Yeah, well, look, they really shouldn't have lost that game. After they got in front. They had all the momentum. Darren Jolly was on Zach Dawson in the ruck. Somehow Zach Dawson won that battle in the last quarter.
Well, not somehow. He's one of the all-time greats of the AFL, Zach Dawson, to be fair.
We move on. But yeah, look, it's really disappointing for them. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And as I said before, 8th spot, 7 rounds in. We haven't seen that since probably 2005 off the top of my head. It's a long time. So look, the knives have been thrown at them, I suppose you'd say, and they've really got to make a stand now.
What under Mick Malthouse, we could clearly say that his Collingwood side, going forward would chip around the boundary, and then they'd try and use a full-on frontal pressure in the forward half and push all the team up into the forward half, and the intensity was at 110%, and they'd try and wheel the ball off teams in their forward 50. What would you say that the game style is under Buckley?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest. But one thing that is alarming, this year, I did have a look at it before, apart from Giants and Demons, they have apart from the Giants and Demons, they have the worst defensive record in the league. They've conceded most points, is what I mean by that. Yep. Which is alarming, because under Malthouse, their premiership year in 2010, they were the best defence by a long way. Everything was a tight-knit group, and it just makes me think, ever since Buckley's come on, last year they got scored against heavily too. So is it not stupid just to put the pieces together and say, ever since they've gone away from their defensive attacking style around the boundary and opened themselves up, their defenders are getting caught out and they're not good enough one-on-one, and hence they're getting big scores kicked against them.
Well, I think that's the key. I don't think their defence is good enough to hold up to a barrage from coming down the corridor. I think, as you said, the midfield pressure is dropped off immeasurably, and therefore the forward 50 entries from the other teams are coming more frequently and at a higher efficiency. And I think the small defenders in particular are the troublesome ones. Harrio, they've tried to get him out of defence, and they've had to put him back there now with Tuvey going down. Tuvey, the exception to this, of course. But Heath Shaw, yes and no for mine. And really, I can't really name any others that I'd have in the top 8, top 8 teams in the league. I think to win a flag and play top 8, you need to have a top, certainly 5 defence in the league, and they're nowhere near that.
Well, they're 16th. Yeah. So it's a big issue. Centre clearances, they're bottom 3 in the league as well, I think, which is just not good.
That shouldn't happen.
Not good enough. I know they're missing Beams and Ball, but you've still got Pendlebury and Swan and Sidebottom and other blokes filtering through there. But look, massive game this week and against Sydney, and I think we'll know a lot more about the Pies after those two. Who's
your tip out of interest? This because they seem to have been stung a bit in the media this week, the Pies. So,
well, I mean, if they're 40 points down against Geelong, they're not getting back into it.
True.
Simple as that. So they're the worst starting. Look at the stats I'm reeling off. They're the worst. They've kicked the lowest amount of goals in the first quarter in the whole league. That's lower than the Giants, included in that. So yeah, alarm bells. Look, I think Collingwood can win, but based on, I just can't see them winning.
If they lose the next two, for mine, they've cemented themselves as a middle of the road team.
If they lose the next two, I think they'll still make finals.
Oh, definitely.
But 6, 7, 8.
Yep, exactly.
The highest. Yeah,
that's what I was getting at. Yep.
Yeah. So look, we move on to the Tigers, who are in 7th there on 4 and 3. Won the first 3, lost the next 3. Won on the weekend over in Port Adelaide. Good win.
Great win.
But we don't know about the Tigers yet, do we? We still don't totally know.
Well, going into the week, they've earned a bit more respect from me this week. I thought Port Adelaide would win that game over there, and I was extremely surprised to see the Tigers get up, to be honest. I didn't think they had it in them. So I'll always go back to that game against Collingwood where it was the time to show that they were a contender. That was the game. And they didn't have to win. They just had to show something. They had to, you either lift intensity and play to that level or you can't. And for me, they showed that they just can't. Not yet, anyway. So they might make finals. Most likely they'll finish 9th. And we'll be talking about them exactly the same way next year.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all about the young kids, as we say with everyone, coming on that are going to propel them to the next level. I mean, Martins, Cochin, Deledio, all those blokes are good. A-grade, we know that. It's just those bottom 6 players, which I really, beg your pardon, don't feel are up to it for Richmond. But that's just my opinion.
Just one more on them. In particular, one player for mine who I think is vital, who slips completely off the media radar for I don't know what reason. Tyrone Vickery, I reckon, is their most important player because if he's on, the Tigers are firing and they win.
He takes a lot of pressure off Jack as well.
The flow-on effect is immense from that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Ty gets hot, Jack generally gets hot with him. So, I mean, they become very, very dangerous.
Exactly.
But good pick up there. 6th spot now, Freo, 5 and 2. Obviously 40 points up against the Pies. Pies reeled them in and they managed to steady and come home with the points in the end. So what it boils down to is a great start of the season to them. Problem is Jonathan Griffin's out for the year with a knee. Sandilands, I don't know what he's doing. That leaves Big Ben Hanneth, I think his name is.
Where's Zach Clark?
I think he's injured too.
Yeah.
So,
I haven't heard anything in the media about him.
No. So look, there's a bit of a problem there now. I know somehow they managed to come out of it all right against Collingwood, but yeah, I think it's going to cost them a few.
I think you're forgetting about a guy who can be on his. If he plays there full time, he can be an All-Australian ruckman.
No, he can't.
Zach Dawson.
No, that's ridiculous.
So underrated.
Oh,
but look, let's be honest. 5 and 2 for a Freo team, absolutely depleted with injury. They're missing They're missing Pavlich as well, and Kepler Bradley is another tall who they haven't got. So, and Hill obviously missing, and Fife was out for 2 weeks. So, look. They will be top 4, and for mine, they are just improving incrementally every single week. And by golly gosh, Timothy, they have such a depth of talent there that just can plug into a role under Ross Lyon's system and do a job.
It's a nice little well they've got to dip into every week, isn't it? In Melbourne, we don't hear a lot about it all the time, but there is enough talent over there. Don't you worry about that. So, look, as I say, with nearly everyone, we watch with interest. Especially to the halfway mark of the season to see how they go in these next few weeks until they get Sandy or Zach Clark back, if they do.
If they can be 10 and 4, look out.
Yeah, they'll be tough to beat over there in a final with that purple haze getting up. But we move to 5th now, the Swannies in 5 and 2. Look, we've spoken a bit about the Swans off camera, and I mean, they got done by Hawthorn pretty comfortably from all reports. I didn't actually see it, but yeah, they hung around, but I don't think they were ever really in it.
No.
They're just not. They're not a top 4 side for me. I know they're not in there. They're a 6, 7, or 8 side for mine.
Yep. And they're just we've said it before, we'll say it again. They're just a good, honest side who makes you work, and you have to be able to beat them. And a lot of teams can't, so that's why they finish in the 6th, 7th, 8th spot.
Yep.
They won the grand final last year. They played above their talents, I think, and some of their players from guys like Parker. Bird, they're so overrated for mine. I'm not potting them here, but they're not. They couldn't at another team, a bottom team. They would be exceptionally average footballers. And I think a lot of guys get carried by your McVeys and So yeah, look, they'll make finals, but I think they should be extremely happy with their grand final win last year, and hold on to that for the next few.
Yep. No, we'll go to 4th, 5 and 2. The Power of Port won their first 5 actually, which was something else. But look, it was great. It was great. The AFL needed that. Adelaide as a city needed that, and more importantly, the club needed it as well. They're getting good numbers to their games again, which speaks a lot of Port Adelaide supporters. Stay with your team when you're not winning, as well as when you're winning. For mine, but there are some good signs down there. I know they're not going to make the 8. Don't worry about that. But starting to come through, and already in the team, younger guys who will develop into something. I'm talking Wingard, Wines, Jackson Trengove when he's fit, Alapati Carlisle, who's not young, but he seems to be playing back to a higher level. The last 2 years he's been potted quite heavily. But all up the spine as well. They're getting a bit stronger. Yep.
They have a bright future. Great to win the first 5 games, but that's what happens when you get it right. And it has to happen off-field first, and it goes from the top down.
Koshi,
get it right at the top.
Koshi.
Get your board level right, and then you can go to the football department, your coaches and your staff there, and you say, we're 100% here. Now it's the pressure's on you to perform. And from there, if you get that right, and Ken Hinkley was an exceptional appointment, and having Alan Richardson beside him as a development coach he's a really, really good development coach as well. I'm not sure exactly if that's his title or not, but he is a very good development coach. So they got their board level right. They got the coaching staff and the football department right, and then the pressure goes on to the players, and they're performing as well. And this is how it has to happen at Melbourne and other clubs. But Port Adelaide have got they're on the right track. I've put it out there that I put a fairly large wager on them to win 5.5 games is the limit for the year. So I'm sitting there with fingers crossed, hoping that they get pumped every other game of the year. But we won't worry about that. Hopefully they can not win another game, but if they do, good on them.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's good to see. Move to 3rd, 6 and 1. This is where the big boys are. Hawthorn lost their first, won the last 6. Looking pretty good.
Yep, looking pretty good. We'll mount another assault on the grand final, and just such an even spread of guys who have played 100, 150 odd games who can really perform. What can you say about Hawthorn that we don't already know?
Not a great deal, to be honest.
No.
I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on them. Everyone knows they're winners, and they're good, and they're better players. I'm still not totally sold on their back line. Not totally. I mean, they're good. Don't get me wrong. They're very, very good. But when Josh Gibson isn't allowed to come over and help out, that's when I worry for them. Brian Lake's not the same as he used to be. And just other than that, I'm just not sure. If they get isolated one-on-one with any team, I might point out, but that is when they're vulnerable, and that is how you beat Hawthorn.
And I have knocks on their clutch gene as well, but we only find that out come finals time. So we wait and see. And just by the way, viewers, if you hear a bit of background noise here, it is a tropical cyclone in the background. So we apologise for that. But we move on, I think.
Yep, to 2nd spot, the Bombers, 6 and 1. All the Asada stuff is now done. Is that true?
Is that true?
I thought it came out and they were clear.
Oh,
they got clear.
Wow. If that's true, then great.
We'll handball that to the mystery man over there, and we'll just talk about their football. 6 wins to start the year. Fantastic for the club, for James Hird, for everyone else involved. Had their first loss against Geelong. This is where we start to see what they're like.
Exactly. It was always going to be was that when they lose 1 or 2 games, to see how they respond after that when it gets tough.
I mean, I think I'll just get you to look up on the pad there while I talk. I think they've got a cushy draw for their next couple, so they might be right. Who have they got?
So in round 8 they play the Lions,
Yeah.
and after that we've got Richmond, and after that they are playing Sydney.
Okay. So a few toughies. Yeah, the Richmond game will be very interesting, as will the Sydney game, but they'll knock over Brisbane this week, no worries. So they'll get back on the winners list. But we've talked about this off camera, and it's about time we talked about it on camera to the Beasters, as they're known.
This may turn into a cyclone footage capture.
Oh, I know. It's very, very heavy out there. But names I'm going to throw at you.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Mm.
Hibbert.
Mm.
Winderlick. Alwyn Davey. Brett Stanton to an extent. I'm just going to throw those 5 at you. Okay?
Is it sort of like a name the common denominator?
No. What I'm leaning at, Joey, is these guys have been in great form at the start of the year when they're winning games. My knock on the Bombers is these outside players are not going to play at that high level for the whole season. Now the first losses come, I am so interested to see how they go. And when it starts to get a bit tougher as well, these guys, especially Michael Hibberd, is not going to be allowed to prance around and get kicks in the back pocket. Now, I'm a big knocker on Michael Hibberd, but I was at the Anzac Day game. He did not go near one Collingwood player all game. And I mean, it's very easy when you're playing well as a team and winning games. But as soon as it's flipped over, you get caught out for an average player that you are.
Yep. No, I said it perfectly, didn't you? I mean, all I was going to say is loose as a wizard's sleeve. I mean, well, they are just absolute front runners. And when you have to play one-on-one football, 50-50 contested football in a finals type atmosphere, Anzac Day was, I think, more about Collingwood than about Essendon. But in finals, I don't see them holding up.
Well, they did it last year. They started really well last year, and I know they got a lot of injuries and stuff, but they fell away. They fell off the side of a mountain, if you like. So I, as I said with everyone again, watch with great interest these next couple of weeks just to see how they're going. Can they prove me wrong? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see.
Nah, I'm with you 100%. Couldn't agree more.
And top of the table, well, I'll be the first to apologise to Geelong fans, and I'm sure you'll follow me. 7-0. I honestly can't believe it. But hey, we're sitting here in the top of the ladder.
No, look, for a couple of years now, I've written them off.
After every season, I love to come out into the lounge room at my house and say, Geelong are done. They are done. They'll never be seen again.
Yep.
Yet here they are.
Yeah, it's just a testament to the culture that they've built for mine, more than anything. The culture there is magnificent. They expect to win every single game, no matter what the circumstance is. If they're behind or whatever the case may be, they never look like losing it. And I talk about clutch gene a lot, and they have it in spades. Every single one of them, they instill it in the younger players coming through. They have to earn their spot in the team, and they have to perform when they're there. And other sides should take a leaf out of their book, because they are the best team that we may see in our lifetimes. I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know premierships is what everyone fascinates over. But for mine, they are a better side than the Brisbane Lions of yesteryear. Brisbane Lions were up from, when was it, 2000 to 2004?
Yep. They won 01 to 04. Yep.
Yeah. So Geelong have been up since, when was that? 2007.
Yeah. 07, 09, 11.
Yeah. But as a whole, they've been up there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, Brisbane was sort of there, then fell away badly. Geelong have been up there for 7 years. Is that in?
6 years.
6.
Yep.
6 years. And don't look like going anywhere very quickly. And I'll finally say they're here to stay. But look, no, it's fantastic. So many winners on that team. That's the big word, I think, for mine. Winners. Just guys who know how to get the 4 points. And that's why they're going to be up there, and they're going to be very tough to beat in September.
Winners.
No rings in footy, Joe.
No.
But look, guys, no, that brings it to a close, really. I mean, we've taken a run through all the teams there just to get our bases covered.
Yep.
And in preparation for weeks ahead. And look, I can't guarantee that we'll be on every week, but at least once a fortnight.
Well, and this leads me to our next point. We could almost...
Is this your announcement?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think we almost could guarantee beasters out there that we would be putting something on every week.
Take it off and hold it. You want to.
We can't
do
yet,
it,
but we will. No, we will. All right. So, as of next week and going forward, we are going to be changing the format up a little bit, and we're going to be potentially going to a podcast, which unfortunately for you guys at home watching, you won't be able to see Tim's pretty face, but you'll certainly be able to hear from him. And it's going to make it a lot easier because we don't live together anymore. So the travel and that type of thing, it's just going to be a lot easier that we're going to move it to a podcast. You'll be able to get us on iTunes once we're approved by Apple. And if you don't have an Apple, a product, an iPhone or an iPod or an account, I don't know if you can get iTunes on just a normal computer. Anyway, you'll be able to find us on a pod site, either Podbean or I'm not 100% sure at this stage, but we will have access for you guys who don't have an iPhone, that type of thing as well. So you'll be able to listen to us.
Are we staying on the tube?
We may or may not stay on the tube at this stage. So hopefully we'll get a show out, as you said, once every few weeks.
Yeah. So they can see.
So they can see our face and just, I don't know what they do when they watch us, but we'll leave that up to them at home. But
apologies if this is quite loud as well. We have brought it very forward, but that's okay. Joey needs to hold it.
And I'm going to give it to Tim to hold for now because it's quite an achievement.
It's power, isn't it?
It is power.
But no, so there's that announcement, guys. Look out for that. We'll keep you posted as always here on BST. We love you, Beasters. Please stay with us. And just before I close, I want you to say something to one of our fans.
How's the microphone craftsmanship by you, by the way? Just a natural.
Well, he's done it before. No, just joking. But I want you to tell the viewers at home just about one man. Marsho, as we call him here at BST Land.
All right, we're going to drop another M-bomb this time. We'll call him Marsho or Dino. We had correspondence from him during the week, the big Marsh. But look, I don't know where to go with this. I just want to point out a couple of things.
Well, I'll point out first that
we'll put this down.
Yeah. That we do love you. We love your support. So thank you. We absolutely love it. But please get your friends involved. Let them know about it. But Joey?
Well, I'll be the bad cop to your good cop.
Yeah.
Look, if you were going to pot us and say, get a show on the air or take it off YouTube because you're a disgrace, I mean, really, let's pull our heads in and have a look at what we're doing with our life. If we're ending up and we have to resort to that type of violent words against us, but I think we'll hold off on that. We may even visit it at a later date. No, sorry, go on.
Just support us. Don't knock us. Support us. We're trying to be big. Help us out. We love your support, but help us.
But I want to stress because we're rambling on a tad here, but with the podcast, you're going to be able to listen to us doing whatever you want. And it's probably a better medium for YouTube. But what we want you to do at home...
Washing the dishes, walking the dog. They could be listening to us. Well, they could be.
Walking the dog.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the train. In a university lecture.
Wherever you do it, it'll be great. But... look, what we want you to do is to help us out because we're a show for the people, run by the people. So we want you to hit us up on Twitter, and that's at BST Weekly, as you can see on the shirts. On Facebook, www.facebook.com/.
/BST in capitals and the W of weekly in capitals as well.
Yes, that's right. And we have an email as well, but we don't really check that. So best on those two mediums. But we want you to hit us up and tell us what is best for you, what suits you. So if you want to see us on YouTube, hit us up on that. If you want the podcast, if you want another medium where you can listen to us on like a Podbean or something like that, hit us up and let us know what you think. And also, what type of show you want us to do. Because we started off as a variety show with a few sports. Now we've separated it, thanks to you fans, because it's what you said you prefer, into an AFL, an NBA, an EPL. And if there's another sport that you want us to cover that we haven't, we're open and we're willing and we're happy to do that as well. So if you want us to cover, NCAA lacrosse, equestrian,
synchronized swimming,
yes, anything in the world, European handball.
To do a rundown of 7 celebrity splash.
I don't think that's ever going to happen because what a disgrace that was.
Anyway, we're rambling here. But yes, guys, as Joey said, contact us, be in touch with us. We'll be in contact back with you as well. But look, it's a pleasure to be back. From myself and Joseph here, we enjoy doing it. We love doing it. And we will see you next week. And Joey?
Don't forget, BST Weekly.